Greetings, brothers and sisters in Christ, and Merry Christmas as we continue this great season of Christmas. And we come towards the end of it, actually. We celebrate the great feast of the Epiphany. The three wise men, the three astrologers, have come onto the scene to present their gifts to Jesus. They are for us a model, right, of the spiritual life. So they knew nothing about this God, but something attracted them, something stirred in them, and then they moved. And so our spiritual life is that our God initiates in us a desire to know God. So faith is not primarily our search for God and our job and our task. Faith begins with God's love for us. God initiates a relationship with us, and then God waits patiently, continues to help us along the way so that we can make a response of faith to our God, so that we can then turn and begin to move towards God who has come to us. But it's important to know God has begun this, so it's not just something you made up. Also, we find that Jesus is the great magnet. From the moment he's born, from another country, these three men were stirred and they went to go find him. In the Gospels, time after time, we find that Jesus is surrounded by a crowd of people. So Jesus continues to be a magnet. I believe every Sunday morning, he stirs us and we begin to move from our homes and we all gather in our churches, God willing, and then we gather around his word and sacrament. And then he continues to teach us and to feed us. So the most natural thing you can do is go to Christ. The most natural thing you can do is to just take a moment and pray. He calls us to him. So the Magi come to find him, right? And then we find that when they encounter the child, they are moved to adoration. They fall to their knee, if you will. I think that something more human is going on too. They fall to their knee. What do you do when you see a newborn child? You kind of ask, can I hold the baby, if you will? And so we have a God who wants to be held in our hands, or a God who wants to be an intimate part of our life. So don't keep Jesus at a distance. Ask him if you can hold him, and then even more so, ask him if he will hold you. Put yourself into his arms. Let him carry you and carry your life. That makes all the difference in the world. We also find that the Magi came, and what's their first reaction after kind of the adoration? They brought gifts. They already had the gifts with them, and they were moved to give their gifts to God. And not just any gift, but the best gift that they had. This is a life of stewardship. It's not about money primarily. This is a life where God has given each of us so many gifts and abilities and talents. And when we encounter the love of God, we are moved to be like God. We are moved to self-empty, if you will, to share the gifts God has given us with the rest of humanity wherever they are needed for God's purpose. So when you do that, you give God your best. So I encourage you to think about in your life, how do you give God the first fruits of your time, your energy, your ability, your attention? Don't just give him whatever's left over. Give him the best of yourself and then see what he does with that. God will bless that giving of gifts. So have a blessed Epiphany.